Hey everybody, welcome back to Elevator Pitch. My name is Joe Ennis, and this week I am talking to Pamela Henkel. Pamela is a podcast host, a life coach, a pastor, a ton of different stuff, an entrepreneur who is dedicated to helping bring value to people's lives. Pamela's mission is to bring as much of just a positive reinforcement and value to people's lives as possible. She hosts a show and podcast called Purpose with Pamela, which she talks a lot about in the show. She interviews people that, have stories to tell of, importance. Not always, crazy stories, sometimes some pretty interesting stories, but just, in general, people with a message. Pamela wants people to be able to speak their messages and learn from others around her. She talks a little bit about why she decided to start Purpose with Pamela and what kind of led her to do that, as well as, some of the joys that she's found through starting a show like this. So I really enjoyed that episode. Make sure to go check her out. And if you're listening to this, make sure to subscribe. Click the link in right below this video if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify or anywhere else, please click that subscribe button. It lets us know who's watching. Thanks. Hey everybody, welcome back to Elevator Pitch. My name is Joe Ennis, and today I am talking with Pamela Henkel. Pamela, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Joe, for having me. It's a pleasure.
So, Pamela, right off the bat, tell us a little bit about what you do. You got a lot going on behind you. Clearly, there's a book. I know you have a podcast of your own. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Oh, that would be great. So, all right, a little bit about what I do. I'm an author and I do have a podcast. I just love hearing people's stories, Joe. That is one of my favorite parts of my life is hearing the stories of success of other people or how they navigated through a challenging time and getting that out there for the masses to hear, because we all learn and grow together. And that's kind of my tagline is we learn and we grow together. I'm also really proud to be the head coach for John Tallarico's Inner Circle at the Million in You. And I know you and John are good friends.
Yes,
and
love
so
John.
that is just a treasure for me to live my dream while supporting his and coaching and helping people achieve their dreams and goals. So very much love it. That's kind of in a nutshell what I do. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a grandma, I just kind of fill it all up,
Yeah.
Keep life busy.
That's awesome. So, Pamela, right off the bat, I want to ask you, first off, I'm going to have a few questions. I sent you a bunch of questions before this. There's a few questions actually I'm going to ask just because I know you're a fellow podcaster and show person, and I'm going to ask you a few questions about that in a little bit. But first off, I want to talk about what made you kind of start your podcast, and what are some of like the issues that you see surrounding, your business or your mission, and what are you kind of trying to do to solve those issues?
Great question. I love that question, Joe. When COVID-19 hit and everything slammed shut, we all had to find ways to reinvent ourselves, right? So I have been a minister, a pastor for years. And all of a sudden, the reaching out and the helping of people, because that's what I love to do. I already said that, help people, share their stories, all of that. I had to, really pray and to find the ways to continue that on. I live in Minnesota. So I want to just quickly qualify that during COVID, we had the whole George Floyd event happen, which was literally in my backyard. You know what I mean? And I'm going, I can't get out and do the things that I would have normally done in a situation to try to be a person that would extend peace, that would try to bridge unity. I couldn't do it the way that I would have. And that is what birthed my first podcast, Purpose by Design, was to find a place, a safe place for people to come and share their stories, and that together we could have a grassroots movement to repair this nation. Because If politics could have done it, it would have. If higher authorities could have done it, they would have. At the heart of all of us, I believe, is good, and that we want to love together, work together, grow together, and be united together. So, what a better place to start that message getting out there than bringing all walks of life, all backgrounds, all situations, all age groups to come together and share their wisdom, not just their story, but their wisdom, because together we're better and we can heal. And so that was the initial kickoff of my podcast. And then it's still that way, Joe, but eventually it sort of spiraled also into a place of empowerment, a place of growth, where now it's not just how do we heal, but how do we launch into the next place. So that was the first question. Then you asked, secondly, about challenges. Could you repeat that for me,
Yeah,
please?
so I guess just, through the show and how the people you talk to, and you kind of hit on it with, just everything that was going on during COVID and everything. What are some of like the challenges that I guess you see in your field? Of, either it's the people you're interviewing, either it's more your just day-to-day business. What are some of the challenges that you're facing? And I guess how does the podcast, or how are you and your business trying to, help those things? And I think you kind of answered it a bit, is just, creating a community from different
Yes.
people of different walks of life. But if there's anything you add, please, yeah, continue.
I don't know that there's much there that I would add. If there's any challenges that we face in the podcast community, I would say finding the guests, and everybody could be a guest.
Hmm.
A lot of people don't think that they're qualified.
Sure.
And I just want to say that out there, that if you can talk,
Yeah.
you're qualified, and you don't need to have a crazy awesome background or some high tech whatever. When I started, I didn't have nearly the setup that I have today, but it worked, and it began to get the message out. And nowadays, post COVID, or even still sort of in it, but post it, really, there's so much more forgiveness in the area of technology and also acceptability. Whereas pre that, there was this like level of what you had to have technology wise and experience and all of this. Well, what COVID did in a good sense is it kind of lowered that, and it just made us all on the same level. So I would encourage all of your listeners to realize that they have a story and a voice, and your voice and your story matters, and that they should start sharing it, whether it's one-on-one with somebody at a store, or going out to coffee, or it's coming on your show, or coming on my show, or starting their own.
Yeah.
Because right now podcasts are huge, aren't they? People are tuning in all over, listening like 2 to 3 hours a day to a podcast, just playing it in their car and whatever. So this is a time, Joe, where all of us can really impact the world around us if we just will allow ourselves to be utilized that way. So there really wouldn't be a challenge other than saying, come on, speak up and share your story.
I love it. I think that's great. I 100% agree. I am constantly talking to literally anyone. Like, that's kind of my basis, is like, if you want to be a guest on Elevator Pitch, you just kind of I do say you have to be somewhat of like an entrepreneur, but I think everyone has a story, and I 100% agree with you. Like, everyone, if they're alive, has some sort of story, whether it seems like, boring kind of, usual stuff, or crazy stuff. It's still a story, and it can still help someone. Um, so Pamela, there are a lot of podcasts out there. I know that, that. What is something that kind of sets your podcast apart from others, do you think? There's a lot of podcasts that, interview guests in communities. What kind of sets yours apart, do you think?
People that come on my show, I consider them to be my co-host more than I consider them to be just a guest. Although if you come on one of my platforms, you're going to be treated like royalty. And number one, that I believe sets me apart from many others.
Hmm.
I really care. And I don't disappear just because you've come on my show. That doesn't mean that we're not connected anymore. Because remember, I said we learn and we grow together. So I want to stay involved. I have guests that come back repeatedly and share again another part of their story, something else that's going on. And that is very special to me. I do feel that the podcast and my platform for the TV show have created this family and community where everybody kind of knows each other, not just simply because they've been on my programs or platforms, but that is what I want to see, is that we uplift each other. And it's not just talking heads, but we're actually doing something with our talking and going out there and changing the world. So I believe that we all have the ability to be a world changer, and that when we collectively come together with that consciousness of mind and heart, we are changing the world. So at Purpose with Pamela, Purpose by Design, we're changing the world, Joe, with people's stories.
That's awesome. That's great. Pamela, my next question is one that I obviously have my own thoughts about, but I love having guests on that either have their own podcasts or create content of some sorts, because I get to let my listeners listen to someone else say it that's not me. Why should people care about podcasts and content creation? Why should people be paying attention, and why should people potentially think about dipping their own toes in, whether it's just being a guest on another show or even, trying to start their own show?
Because this is reality. Okay, this is reality. When you choose to tune in or show up and create your own, you get to share and be a part of what's happening really in the world. Now, there's different circles, there's different environments, there's different places, but this is brass tacks and grassroots. This is like the ultimate reality TV show, if I can put it that way. Yeah, right. You can't.
No, I know what you mean.
This is it. So you don't need all the constant negative news that's out there. You can come and you can hear what's really going on in the world. And again, it comes back to making an impact and making change. Now, I'm not knocking major news stations or channels or shows. Sure. Please don't take it that way. But at the end of the day, when I want to know what's really happening in my world around me, I am not necessarily turning on Fox or CNN, again, not knocking them, but I can find the podcasts and the people that I can go to where I can hear undiluted truth. And so to me, that's why I show up for shows like yours, Joe. That's why I show up to do my own and get involved in this community as much as possible, because whether it is wanting to study an entrepreneurship, or it is wanting to know more about what's happening on the innards of America or the countries at large, whatever it is you want to learn about, you can do it through a podcast.
Love that. You ended that in a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Motivational. You can do it in a podcast. So Pamela, a few questions for you also, because I ask a lot of questions. What would you say to beginners who are like, I'm starting a podcast, maybe I'm a few episodes in, and I either want to grow my numbers or I'm looking for guests. Any beginner advice that you can give with your experience?
So I just say, jump in, and don't shoulda, woulda, kind of how it would, just do it, because so often that's what stops us, is starting, right? And whether you are a person of prayer, a person of meditation, or just positive thinking, this is an important aspect, because everything you're looking for is looking for you. And so Les Brown, one of my mentors, says the blessings of God are looking for you, not just you looking for the blessings. So taking that whole mindset and going into your podcast and realize that this is a calling. I mean, Joe, we love what we do, but we know this is a calling, right? So if it's a calling, then whatever is being called is coming to you. And you just take those baby steps, right, Joe? Just baby steps. Start with what you've got and just keep building. That's what I did. I'm sure that's what Joe did. And it evolves. It becomes almost like a life form. It just begins to grow and build. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful thing to watch and be a part of and see lives transform. So if you're just starting out, I applaud you because so many people won't even do that.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
you have done more than most, and just keep going. Don't quit.
Yeah, that's great. I 100% agree. One thing that I try to tell people, and tell me if you think this is good advice, is I try to tell people to think about doing a certain amount of episodes, like committing to a certain amount. So like when people work with us and they're just starting, we say that, in order for them to sign on with us, they have to commit to at least 12 episodes. Because, at that point, it at least feels like you completed the project and you didn't quit at some point. Like you're saying, you don't want to start and then just end abruptly because it's too hard. It's a lot of work, but we try to get people to commit to a certain amount. So at least they feel like, they accomplished what they were trying to, their goals, and then hopefully continue. But yeah, I love that advice. Just jump in, like, set a goal and then just start. Like, don't think about all of the different things that could go wrong, all of the tech that you don't have, all of the, whatever it is. Just start and build gradually. Yeah. So, Pamela, do you allow, any guests on your show? If people wanted to reach out and they're interested about your show or they have a story they'd like to tell, who are your, ideal guests? And then, ideal clients maybe that you like to work with? Who do you like to work with?
Another great question, Joe. I have never turned a guest away.
Cool.
Who has come to Purpose by Design that wants to be on the platform. What are my requirements? That you have a story, that you want to empower others, that you want to see this world change for the better because we're better together, right? So if you fit into any of those categories, which I think is pretty much everyone, then come and join. I have had moms, grandparents, entrepreneurs, public speakers, motivational speakers, actors, actresses,
A long
athletes,
list.
college students. I mean, yeah. So it's whoever, and all you need is a desire to change the world. And if that's happening in your heart right now, that means that the universe is tugging on you saying, hey, your story matters. Somebody needs to hear what you have to say. Lives are hanging in the balance. And that should move and promote you to the next place. And when it comes with people that I work with, it's the same thing. If you have a dream, a vision, and a goal, and you want someone to stand with you and see the best in you and push you out of your comfort zone and help you achieve your dreams and goals, that's what I do. And that's what I enjoy doing. And when I have the opportunity to go and speak about that, that's exactly what I talk about. Things that will inspire us to go to the next level together. So for me, I can't necessarily say it's just entrepreneurs or it's just coaches or it's just, stay-at-home moms or something like that. I see people and I see dreams and goals. And I love helping others bring those to fruition and watching them run, kind of like having the front row seat in the movie of your life, Joe. Like, I love that. I'm just going to be watching Joe and see him take off and applauding you the whole way. So if you need a cheerleader in your life, I'm your gal.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I've only known you a very short amount of time, but I've already experienced a lot of that love. So I appreciate that. Thank you for the support. So Pamela, plug away. It's the time of the episode where just plug away, tell everyone where they can get in touch with you, tell everyone what you're involved with, tell everyone, where they can listen to the podcast. Just take it away, plug as much as you want. Stage is yours.
Wow. Well, Purpose with Pamela, that's where you find me. That's my website. and all that I am attached to, including The Million and You with John Tallarico. You can find it all right there, whether it is wanting to be a guest on one of my podcasts, whether it is wanting to learn more about having a cheerleader in your life on a regular basis, or maybe it is you're interested in becoming a collaborative author. Right now, I don't have it to show you the cover because we haven't revealed it yet. But
Ooh.
we have 40 powerful women that I am one of the visionary authors. I have a partner. Her name is Yashika, and her and I are the visionary authors for the Women of the Power Voice. And that's 40 powerful women that went through Les Brown's Academy of Power Voice. And we have come together and we have put together our stories. And that will be launched on December 12th. You'll be able to get that. So you stay tuned at Purpose with Pamela, and you'll get all the updates on that. So if you're like, hey, I would love to be in a book, but I don't want to start my own, I just like to contribute a chapter, talk to me. I would love to help you get your story out. So just reach out. I'll be cheering you on. I can connect you to The Million and You. We can do pretty much anything if we put our minds to it.
That's awesome. And listeners, as always, all of the links are in the description of this episode, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on Apple or Spotify or wherever it is. Check the description for all things Pamela. Pamela, thank you again for being on. It was a great talking to you. You are such a supportive person, and I am, it's an honor to talk to another podcast host and let them tell my audience, the importance of it. And so they don't have to listen to annoying old me over and over and over again. They get to listen to someone else say it. But thank you again for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It has been a treasure and a pleasure. I appreciate you.
Hey, I want to thank Pamela one more time for coming on. It was a really great episode. I really enjoyed it. Remember to check those links for everything Pamela Henkel if you want to get in touch with her. Also, please subscribe to the episode, to the podcast. It lets us know who's listening and who's out there. Thanks again, and enjoy, your week.